Where there's a will, there's a way. Even against Georgia, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down all the schedules in the nation, 70 all the way up to number 1. Once we get done with this series, we will then preview and predict all the teams for 2018. We have arrived at the 8th most difficult schedule in the SEC. It's number 36 in the nation. It belongs to Will Muschamp's South Carolina Gamecocks, who rose to number 2 in the SEC Eastern Division at 5-3 last year, 9-4 overall. Of course, Georgia is king of the hill after winning the SEC and making it within an overtime of the national championship. South Carolina will face the Georgia Bulldogs in week 2 of the season, so the SEC Eastern Division could be decided in week 2 when South Carolina hosts Georgia. They were not able to compete with the Bulldogs last year, but they should be improved and ready for the Bulldogs in Columbia, South Carolina. All right, there is the game against Clemson. If you look at the non-conference schedule, that obviously boosts this schedule immensely. That is the final day of the regular season at Clemson, South Carolina, at Clemson. Of course, the Gamecocks have been completely mauled and dominated by the Tigers the last few times out. Otherwise, the non-conference slate is mighty easy. But when you play Clemson, we definitely give you bonus points for that. But the rest of the 4 non-conference games, different than what South Carolina has taken on in recent years, when they've usually added an additional difficult game, as they did in 2017 against North Carolina State, to open the season. They've taken on the likes of North Carolina State, North Carolina when they were decent, and also Central Florida in recent years out of conference. But this time it's Clemson and nobody else. It's Coastal Carolina, Marshall on September 15th, and UT Chattanooga lining them up for the Clemson game on November 17th. So South Carolina, much in line with the rest of the SEC, gets the scrimmage game before the rivalry. What I don't like about that scheduling is that it ends the SEC regular season very early. On November 10th, South Carolina travels to Florida. That should be a key game, maybe just for second place in the SEC East at that point. But South Carolina at Florida concludes the season for both of those teams with 2 weeks left and 2 opponents left in the SEC schedule. South Carolina plays a pretty light slate in the SEC Western Division. No Alabama, no LSU, no Mississippi State, no Auburn. They've got a date at Ole Miss, and they also, of course, take on Texas A&M as they typically do each and every year. That's the South Carolina schedule, highlighted in non-division play by Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Of course, the Clemson game, and then 3 complete cream puffs. They need to make it through the Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Mizzou, Texas A&M slate in September and October before they hit the open date. And, of course, the Georgia game could mean everything for the Gamecocks to have a chance to win the SEC Eastern Division. We're running down all the schedules. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the schedule breakdowns and the rankings, and then also, of course, our team reports that we bring you on a daily basis from around college football. Right here at the Voice of College Football, Mark Rogers TV.